When it comes to wisdom, it comes in all shapes, forms, and sizes. Never know where you're going to get your next piece of information from. Take the time when you get an opportunity to be around those who have a different view and an opinion and see what you can grasp from it. We're going to get into it right after the intro. Okay, so if you was telling somebody, let's just say they roughly around 16, right? Because you know 16 that age, you smell at 18, you ain't quite there yet, but you right there where you like, I want to have it figured out a little bit. So when I reach that mark, I don't feel like I'm playing catch up. Like what would you tell them? Like in terms of what you were just saying, like you told Dean, like you was telling Dean. Like, what would you tell them to?
I tell them to set goals for themselves.
Okay.
Like, you got to write everything down. Everything you want to do, you got to write it down. And as you get there, you start crossing them off. And that's what I do for myself. I got everything I want to do written down.
Okay.
So, like, for example, I wanted to buy a car when I turned 21. I wanted to buy my own car. Did that.
Okay.
Now I'm starting to look into career jobs and go from there and build.
Okay.
Houses, stuff like that.
Word. So I guess, you know, you would definitely give them a heads up. I mean, a head start on that, because it seems to me more often than not, man, we look at people and we see the things that they accomplish, right? And we feel like if we just follow their blueprint, it's going to automatically happen. And that don't always be the case.
Not at all.
You know what I mean?
For everybody. Bro.
That's right.
You can't try, you got to stay focused on what you want to do. You can't try to copy the next man, the next person. You'll never catch up. You'll never be able to keep up with somebody else. You gotta have your own path, your own destiny, stuff like that.
Word is mine. And see, that's razor sharp right there. When you go ahead and you look at it from that mindset, you never playing catch up. You never chasing nobody. You always, how can I say, right on course with your own destiny and your own goals and plans. You know what I mean? See, I didn't, I'm not gonna say I didn't have people that didn't want to instill those kind of things inside of me. I think when I was 16 years old, I was busy trying to figure out who I was. I will say that. But also, man, I came up in a very favorable position. You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes when life is not handed to you on a silver platter, but when life ain't challenging and ain't bad, sometimes you don't exercise that next level thought. You know what I mean? That next level mind. You know what I mean? There you go.
You can't get comfortable.
There you go.
You gotta always know it's something greater. So like you never get comfortable. I tell people all the time. Once you get comfortable, you're stuck. You're never going to get stuck.
Yeah.
Elevate.
Absolutely. But look, man, I think if anybody is fortunate enough to be 16, 17, it don't even really matter the age. I'm just gonna say that age on the strength of how we talking right now. If they run into you're gonna give them some sound advice, because a lot of times, man, when you really sit back and think about it, the statement, if you knew better, you'll do better, as cool as it sounds, it's just that simple. It's just that simple. And don't think that life gonna be handed to you. Always understand that anything worth having, you gotta fight for. And you always got to have a plan. They say those who fail to plan should plan to fail. So, you know, that's some real food for thought, what you just dropped on them right there. Now, that's what I'm talking about, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. But they wanted to clear the room so you can build. 15-year-old me. Sit down, I want to ask you a question. You sit 15-year-old you down and you say, what do you want to be in life? And how do you plan on getting there? What do you say?
Work hard. Work hard. That's my thing. Work hard. You don't get what you want if you don't put in the work.
That's right. That's right. So, work hard. I'm listening to y'all. Make sure I get it all down. Work hard. Go ahead.
Be consistent.
Be consistent.
Don't take the easy way out.
Don't take the easy way out. Woo!
Take the easy way out.
Last but not least, whatever you want to say. I can't dictate it. This is you talking to young you.
Yeah, keep like a good circle around you.
Okay. All right. So, like I was talking to Nathan, I was saying to him, sometimes in life, when it's not bad, it's hard to look at how it can get even better, right? Like you hear all the stories about the people, like I came from the bottom, lived in the projects, 16 people in one room. You hear a lot of them, right? But you don't hear a lot of success stories about people who didn't have to come up there. So sometimes, because you don't want to have to look at, you know, a ground level situation that come up, it almost becomes a little cliche, right?
Yeah.
So like me, I didn't come up in my mom and dad worked hard. So, you know, we had a good life.
Right.
And I still got a good life. So I don't tell no crazy stories, man. I'm telling you, man, the lights was off. My lights never went off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, wasn't nothing to eat. There was always something to eat. We had pets, we had dogs, we had fish, we had birds. Right? You said, young you, work hard, stay consistent, and don't look for the easy way out. That's all great stuff, right? You got a point A, a point B. Sometimes it's hard to figure out how to get from point A to point B. So the toughest part about getting from point A to point B, in your opinion, is what? What's the toughest thing?
Staying on track.
Okay, staying on track. Okay. So now that you know that that's the hardest part, and you already said the blueprint for what it's going to take for you to be able to do what you need to do, and you already said these things, young you takes that information now, and what does young you do with it? Follow those rules. Okay. Will mistakes happen along the way? And that's going to be all right, right? Because that ain't going to be the end all be all. That might be part of the journey. Okay. So we got a clear cut understanding. We got a plan. We got a fail-proof plan in the event that something goes wrong. It sounds to me like we got the recipe for success, right? I like what you said about young you. Young you seems like they got it figured out. Boy, I tell you.
You got that faith is the factor of moving the mountain that might be in the way of the obstacle that you're finding. So me, I'd rather bet on myself before I bet on anyone else.
Come on. So, one of the things that I've realized in terms of dealing with entrepreneurship is first and foremost, because the United States is built on capitalism, we already covered that in multiple conversations. You're actually, the country is designed for everyone to be an entrepreneur. It's actually literally designed that way. But most people fall into the regular rhetoric of becoming employees because that's what major corporations would create, employees.
Yeah.
When you start off, remember we talked about it before with Gary Cornegay, one of the guys from Primerica, and we had a discussion about how he explained to people that at a very young age in school, they tell you that you can be anything you want to be. And they tell you get a pair of, crayons or a pencil, and they say draw whatever you want to be. Kids draw astronauts, they draw doctors, they draw athletes, They draw all of the firefighters, police officers, and all of these things, right? That's what they create. And then immediately after, somewhere around first grade or so, they start to kind of deprogram you. They go the other way. They tell you, well, you can't be a scientist or an astronaut or any of those things. You can't be that. You need to be something else that you can, be able to provide a living for a family. Now, when you're in the first grade, you don't understand that concept, but they start to groom the mind that way, right? So they deprogram that free thinking spirit from out of your mind very early on, right? Which is why it's so much difficult, in my opinion, for most adults to have that transformation later on in life where they can become entrepreneurs because of the fact they're going against the grain of what they've been groomed to be.
Exactly.
Okay? So that's why faith, like you said, is a major component. Jobs pay you to be consistent. You don't have to be good. You just got to be there every day.
Exactly.
The difference between that and an entrepreneur, you are literally everything that makes it float. You are the strength of it. You are the brains of it. You are the motion of it. You are the energy of it. Versus you being one of something. You understand what I'm saying? Like you're one of our employees. When you think, if you had employees mindset, and trust me, the world needs employees apparently.
Exactly.
If you have an employee's mindset, then that's why you'll find comfort in those situations. Entrepreneurs, I don't care if they have 4 or 5 jobs, they'll never be happy. They'll never ever be happy because that's not where their minds are created to be. So in most cases, when you look at a person and you find 1 or 2 people that you wind up knowing that are entrepreneurs, especially later on into their years in life, most of those people always had that mindset. They didn't develop it later. Because you can ask them how many jobs do they may say, I had 20 other jobs, 30 jobs. I knew jobs weren't for me. Because that's why I had so many of them. Because I know that wasn't a job to me. Job, first of all, JOB stands for just over broke. Most people that you know that have jobs, they're just making it. Most entrepreneurs that you know that are successful live very, very comfortable lives. But it starts in your mind first, right? So that's why what you're saying in terms of your interpretation of that situation of being something based on faith, being something that you have to see yourself, visualize yourself doing. Because we know it's power in the tongue. If you speak things into existence that have a good point or have a good purpose, generally they happen if you work at it. Exactly. But if you be like, yo man, it ain't gonna work, guess what? It don't.
It's not gonna work.
So with that being said, man, I appreciate you being able to just, spill yourself into the concept of entrepreneurship, because like I said in one of my other videos, it's the other option that goes undiscussed. Remember we talked about it when me and you were talking and T, and we were saying that, and I asked you a question. I said, when did you even hear the term? You told me I was in college, well into college too. Exactly. Not my freshman year. So think about that. Why is that? You know what I mean?
One, like you say, the system, if you look at America's society, right? Before the 60s, everything was on commission.
Correct.
Right? They don't even teach those stories in American history anymore. For the simple fact that they want to make us less uneducated on, like you said, the system of what business is supposed to be about.
Absolutely.
Having your own EIN.
That's right.
Paying your taxes off of nothing.
That's right.
The person who works a job pays 50% more in taxes
than an entrepreneur.
So it
they don't believe it.
That's one of the reasons. But also, like I said, the supporting someone else's dream factor is the biggest thing. Because when those big companies like DuPont and all of them started giving people jobs, and this salary with benefits, it became something that was beating people's minds because they're like, all right, well, I don't have to do too much for it. I'll go to college. Who DuPont was in hands of business with. They actually created that too. Like, people just don't understand.
They don't understand it.
All the people,
right.
J.D. Rockefeller, all these people who created all these things were meant to institutionalize our minds, and we don't even know it because it's just the way we're taught traditionally. Go to college, go to school. There's nothing wrong with it, but the reality is, if you're going to go to college, why go to college to work for someone when they teach you all the skills to work for self in college?
It's 2 reasons. First and foremost, and it's not about pointing the blame, but it's actually looking at what it is, right? First and foremost, like I said, the tear down starts actually very early on. From a child's mind, it starts to do that. I'm talking about in schools.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Here's the other side of it. The other side of it is because if we are creatures of habit, we tend to do what we see. So if we see our parents and other people that we look up to work themselves all the way to the bone, there's nothing left on it. There's no meat left on the bone. And they do it because they're scared of, well, it's going to affect my pension and my Social Security. And I tell all those people, you have to live to that.
Exactly.
You're forgetting that part. You got to live and make it to that point. If you don't understand the value of yourself, then guess what? They won. They won. They're going to milk you till they get nothing else out of you. And that entrepreneur that's inside of you, he gets smothered or she gets smothered.
Because he was already there.
Right.
It's always inside of you.
It's always there. We suppress it more than anything else. And then once you find that thing that you're in love with, that you would do for free with no money attached to it,
That's what
oh my gosh, that's that thing that wakes you up in the morning excited with life.
Exactly.
And that thing that makes it hard to go to sleep at night because you can't wait to get started again.
Yeah.
You ever felt like that about going to a job?
Felt like
No.
that.
And there's a reason behind that. Matters, man. We choose to be as great or as minimal as possible, right? And once again, I don't have any authority over anybody to tell them how to live their life. At the end of the day, I can only, be responsible for what I think is going to give me and my family the best opportunities in life. I also anticipate resistance because, once again, entrepreneurs are the minority; they're not the majority. And because of that fact, you look up and you say to yourself, and when you're trying to have these conversations sometimes with people who have an employee's mindset, they'll resist it, they'll refute it, they'll go against the situation because why? Because the life that it affords or gives them the opportunity to have is enough for them.
Yeah.
And that's fine. So at the end of the day, when a person looks up and they see us doing the things or they see entrepreneurs doing what they do, some of them sometimes, they get it and some don't. I had one good friend of mine, he was having a conversation with somebody and they were saying that they were concerned about the job and had to take care of, their family and stuff like that. And this brother, as an entrepreneur, said, well, imagine having to take care of 30 to 40 other families besides your own. Said, if I have 30, 40, 50 employees, you worried about how you're going to feed your family. I got to worry about how I'm going to feed mine and 50 other families.
Wow.
But that's the risk reward. That's the game. That's why they can live the life that they live and be the places they be and do the things they do. And it's cool with that because the world needs different minds. It doesn't need everybody to be the same mind. I'm going to jump out, y'all. We built, man. Thank you. Wisdom comes from all different ages, directions. You never know where you may learn something different from. That's why you got to take the time to make sure you open up your ear, open up your mind, and build with those who want to build with you.